Hello, today I am looking at how to sponsor a family member under a sponsor license. Okay, so this is a really tricky area that we get quite a few inquiries about. So I thought it'd be helpful just to go through what some of the key concerns should be if you're looking to sponsor someone who's a family member. So this could be if you're in a senior position, such as a kind of director looking to sponsor a family member from overseas, or even if you just simply have someone within your workforce in any position and you're looking to sponsor that person's family member. So this is all relevant to you. Most commonly, this will be for people who have what's called a skilled worker sponsor license. It used to be called a tier 2 sponsor license. Some of what I'm going to talk about now is quite technical. So if this is kind of going over your head, you might want to check out my detailed skilled worker sponsor license guide, which will familiarize you hopefully with some of the general issues around sponsor license, particularly under a skilled worker sponsor license. Okay, so there are a couple of key things you need to be aware of if you're looking to sponsor a family member. Okay, whether that's your own family member or a family member of someone within your organization, someone who a pre-existing worker within your organization. I could say it in a few words that basically it's possible, but that it's tricky and that you must make certain adaptations. So the first one is a very technical issue, but you have to be aware that a level 1 or level 2 user is prohibited from assigning a certificate of sponsorship to a family member. So when you sponsor someone, when you have a sponsor license, you need to have a level 1 user in place at all times. Okay, you have the option of a level 2 user, but the level 1 user or level 2 user is not permitted to assign the certificate of sponsorship to a family member. So it's worth maybe to start with just looking at what do the Home Office consider to be a family member? What's the relationship? So it's a spouse and partner or unmarried partner. It covers parents and step-parents, sons, stepsons, daughters, stepdaughters, brothers, sisters, nephews, niece, uncle, aunt, and then in-laws as well. So it's a really wide definition of what is a family member. And a level 1 or 2 user cannot assign a certificate of sponsorship to a family member. So, well, what do we do about this? For some businesses, this issue is less likely to be a problem. If you have a larger number of employees, you can simply ensure that the level 1 user is not a person who's a family member. Okay, this can get more difficult for smaller businesses where you don't really have the option of appointing someone else as a level 1 user. There are quite significant restrictions on who can be a level 1 user. Okay. It's a bit beyond the scope to go through what this is now, but you must always have a level 1 user who is an employee, okay, or a director. And you will need to have a level 1 user who is permanently based in the UK. So you need to give careful consideration of who should be the level 1 user and make sure it's not, at least make sure that the act of assigning the certificate is not done by the family member. It may be possible to appoint a HR professional to undertake the process of assignment in certain situations. Okay, but the rules around that are quite strict. The HR professional has to already be providing a HR function, not just undertaking the specific act of assigning the certificate. So that's the first issue, is around who can assign a certificate of sponsorship. The other key rule around sponsoring a family member is that you must disclose to the Home Office if you assign a certificate of sponsorship to a family member within your organisation. So notwithstanding this issue of the level 1 or level 2 user, you get around that, you still have to disclose this to the Home Office, and this has to be done by way of what's called a sponsor's note. So you're simply informing the Home Office through your sponsor management system that you've assigned the certificate to the family member. Slightly different rules depending on whether you're classed as a small or medium business or a large business. For a small or medium business, you always have this absolute duty to disclose to the Home Office that you've assigned a certificate to a family member of someone within the organisation. If it's a large business, then you only have to disclose this if you know that, if you're aware that a certificate has been assigned to a family member of someone within the organisation. So these are the two key issues to be aware of. I mean, there are significant sanctions if you fail to follow out or adhere to either of these two rules. So they're pretty serious. If you assign a certificate of sponsorship to a family member, then this is very serious. It's a mandatory grounds to have your license revoked. Okay, and if you have your license revoked, then you can no longer sponsor anyone. So anyone who's already being sponsored would have their visas curtailed, okay, to 60 days. So it's pretty disastrous. If you fail to tell the Home Office about the sponsorship of a family member, that's what's called a discretionary ground of refusal, which is likely to also lead to your license being revoked. So very important that you do follow these two issues. I mean, I would also say that even if you cover these two angles well, the Home Office still appear not to basically be too keen on sponsorship of family members. And that's fine, but just expect closer scrutiny, okay? So you're more likely to be inspected. The Home Office are more likely to go through your HR systems to make sure you're complying with your sponsor license duties. So it is possible to sponsor family members, provided you are aware of these restrictions and make appropriate adaptations. If you want to read more about this, I have written a blog on this precise issue. So we'll try and link the blog to this video. And if you want any advice on this, please do get in contact with me. This is an area that I've got quite a lot of experience in, so happy to have a preliminary discussion with you if you're looking to go down this route.